In the darkest pages of human history lie the chilling tales of Nazi camp experiments where the unthinkable became reality. Our journey begins in the early years of World War II, a time when the world was in turmoil and the Nazis were rising to power. In the heart of this chaos, a series of horrifying experiments were conducted, shrouded in secrecy and fear. Among the grim barracks and watchtowers, an ominous presence loomed: the scientists. These individuals, driven by a perverse curiosity and a distorted sense of superiority, selected their victims with cold precision. Ordinary men, women, and children, ripped from their lives and thrust into these chilling trials. Their humanity stripped away, they were reduced to mere test subjects in the eyes of their captors. The orchestrators of this horror were not shadowy figures lurking in the background, but prominent members of the Nazi regime. Their names, forever etched in the annals of history, serve as a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink. These were the beginnings of a horrendous chapter in human history, an era marked by unprecedented atrocities. Among the numerous horrific experiments, the poison tests stand out for their sheer brutality. The poison experiments were a chilling chapter in the annals of Nazi experimentations, a heinous testament to the disregard for human life. The progression of these experiments was a journey into the heart of darkness. It began with the selection of various poisons, each more deadly than the last. Cyanide, arsenic, and even the lethal curare, a paralyzing poison that South American indigenous tribes used on their darts, were all part of this sinister arsenal. These weren't just random choices, each poison was chosen for its specific lethal properties. Cyanide for its swift and deadly action, arsenic for its ability to mimic natural illness, and curare for its paralyzing effect that left the victim conscious and aware, yet unable to move or plead for mercy. The methods of administration were equally horrifying. Some were force-fed, others were injected, and some were exposed to poisonous substances through their food or drink without their knowledge. This was not science. This was a cruel and clinical exercise in death. The indifference to human suffering was beyond comprehension. The victims suffered excruciating pain, their bodies racked by convulsions, their breaths coming in short, labored gasps until the end. And all the while, the perpetrators watched, unblinking, unmoved by the agony they had inflicted. The poison experiments were a stark testimony to the devaluation of human life under the Nazi regime. These experiments were not about discovery or progress, but about power and control, a grim reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink when it loses sight of compassion and respect for life. The repercussions of these experiments extended far beyond the immediate victims. The physical and psychological trauma inflicted on survivors was profound, with many bearing the scars of their ordeal for the rest of their lives. They were not only marked by the physical pain of the poison tests but also by the haunting memories of the horrors they had witnessed. The nightmares, the flashbacks, the constant fear, these were the unseen wounds carried by the survivors. In the aftermath of the war, the world responded with shock and disgust at the revelations of these atrocities. Legal responses were swift and decisive. The Nuremberg trials, held between 1945 and 1949, saw many of the perpetrators brought to justice. These trials set unprecedented standards in international law, particularly in relation to crimes against humanity and the treatment of prisoners of war. Yet, perhaps the most enduring legacy of these poison experiments lies in the realm of medical ethics. The Nuremberg Code, born out of the trials, established 10 ethical principles for conducting human experiments. Among these principles are the necessity of informed consent, the prohibition of experiments that could result in death or disabling injury, and the requirement that experiments must yield fruitful results for the good of society. The poison experiments left an indelible mark on history, serving as a grim reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink. But they also sparked a global conversation about the ethics of medical experimentation, a conversation that continues to shape our world today. As we reflect on these gruesome experiments, we are confronted with the darkest aspects of human nature. The unthinkable poison experiments conducted in Nazi camps serve as grim reminders of the depths to which humanity can sink when ethics and empathy are discarded. We've journeyed through the chilling accounts of these atrocities, from the sheer inhumanity of the experiments to the devastating consequences borne by the victims. In this somber reflection, it is imperative that we emphasize the importance of remembering and learning from these horrific events. They serve as stark warnings from the past, Lessons etched in the annals of history, teaching us the dire costs of allowing hatred and prejudice to dictate our actions. These reflections should not just be confined to the annals of history. They should serve as a call to action, a reminder of the duty we all share to uphold the principles of humanity, decency, and respect for all life. In the face of such grim history, we must strive to ensure that such horrors are never repeated. For in the words of philosopher George Santayana, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.